Welcome to the Movie Business Podcast, picking up where Movie Business Book left off. I'm Jason Squire, hosting a wide range of industry talent and executives to answer fundamental questions about the business today. Here we go. And we're getting into the secrets of deal making with Stephen M. KRAVIT, Executive Vice President of the Gersh Agency in Beverly Hills. He served as Executive Vice President of Kings Road Entertainment, Senior Vice President Business Affairs of 20th Century Fox, and Vice President Business Legal of United Artists. A graduate of Columbia Law School, Stephen is a member of the California and New York bars, and is admitted to practice in the United States Supreme Court, the United States Court of Military Appeals, and various other courts. Welcome, Stephen.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm glad you're here, Stephen. Thank you. Let's start out with asking about the secrets of deal making. What are the secrets of deal making?
Well, the secrets, it's like asking what's the Holy Grail. The important things to know about deal making, I've always found, is that you have to understand your client and the limit your client and tolerance of your client to the deal making process. Some clients want you to close immediately. They don't really care what the deal is. They're so afraid they'll lose a deal that they tighten your ability to make a better deal for them. There are those who say, it's whatever you say, Stephen, that is what I agree with. And if the deal doesn't make, it doesn't make. Those situations, you get your best deals for the client normally. You also have to know the tolerance of the other side, just who you're dealing with and what their leverage factors are or not, so that if you know that they're looking for exactly what it is your client has or who your client is and nobody else, and they've got money, you use that for enormous leverage in deal making. You also should know generally what other deals of the type of deal you're presently making, how they're handled, and what past history has been, but you shouldn't feel totally bound by that, because a lot of that will depend, again, on your client's tolerance and the leverage of the other side for you to break out of that paradigm. And you should have patience. Very important to be patient in deal making, and slowly, and listening to the other side, very respectful. And you should never be afraid of appearing to be outrageous in your demands, because you can always come down, but it's rare that you can go back up asking for more than you originally asked for. I've been able to do that in a very rare situation, which was very unusual at the time. Maybe we can talk about that a little later on in the broadcast. But those are basically the, quote, secrets of deal making.
Yeah, that's very good. Thank you. So let's describe the agency path from getting a client's job to negotiating the deal. What are the steps?
Well, the first steps are getting the client the job, or getting the client up for the job. And that's generally done through breakdowns that are circulated to describe what a particular project is about, what they're looking for, what they're looking to spend. Sometimes there's ethnic requirements. That's become more frequent. And then the client often has to either, again, it depends upon whether it's a writer or an actor. A writer will maybe submitting past work as exemplars of what it is they do, although most of their past work may well be known by the buyer. For an actor, they will generally want you today to self-tape and send in your tape as an audition tape, which the director, if there is one at the time, and in any event, the producer will be looking at. And then that may happen a few times as they winnow down the number of people that they're interested in who might qualify for the job. And then finally, it comes down to one, and hopefully it's your client. And then it's a question of making the deal.
And so in making the deal, who names the first price? There's, I guess, some back and forth. And
Normally it starts out on the buyer side. The buyer generally puts out the deal terms that they're prepared to agree to. And then it's up to the agent or the business affairs agent, depending upon who's handling the deal making, to respond, either accept or counter with a counter proposal, depending upon the needs and desires of the client or these other secrets that I've described before. Mm-hmm. And that will then become a back and forth until finally either a deal is made or it's not.
So you've been in the middle of so many negotiations. What are some of the toughest deal points?
Well, money is always a big deal point. I mean, it starts there.
That's a good
money is everything.
Yes.
Almost everything is money. Credit is normally not such a big issue, but everything that you ask for besides the raw money that is coming to the client, some clients have demands, perquisites, we call perks. They want a particular type of trailer. They want certain type of travel to and from work and to and from location sites. They want a masseuse. They want a chef. They want you to hire other personnel to work with them and running lines and they're not shooting, or to drive them around on locations that they're not familiar with. They'll want you to provide them with bodyguards. That's all additional money. And that can come up to quite a large amount of money. That's part of the money element. Sometimes you're able to put on literary material, if there's an option that's involved, you're able to put a time frame on how long the rights stay with the buyer before they have to pay more money. And those are the troublesome areas. And what is to be paid by the buyer to the author or owner of the literary material if they decide to do a sequel, remake, or spin-off, a television series or spin-off of the first made television series. There'll be a lot of negotiation over that and those dollars. But everything does boil down to money, except for credit. Credit doesn't cost very much money, but if you want credit in certain ads, more than just a billing block ad, that can cost money because that adds material to ads they wouldn't necessarily be taken. Mm-hmm. And then there's also with credits, if you want to have your client's credit tied to some one or more other elements in the production, if their name or likeness is used, then your client's name or likeness should also be used in a similar vein. A likeness parody is, again, normally money, but more of that has to do with the buyer protecting what the buyer feels is what they're really selling the public on. And that'll be based upon what they think will draw people into the theaters or to watch on television in the particular programs.
Very good. And in all of this, are there lessons that you've learned from negotiating?
Yes. In fact, there's lessons that I've learned in carrying out deals. I learned a lesson from Barry Diller one time when I had made a deal for a particular director to direct a film when I was at 20th Century Fox. And we took an option on that director's ability to direct films that we assigned to the director. And the director made the first film, which was very successful. And they wanted to make another film with this director that they were going to assign to him. And the director didn't want to do the film. He wanted to do something at Universal we would have nothing to do with. And it was always in my mind that a director is being so critical to what a film will look like that we wouldn't want to force a director to make a film they didn't want to make. And Barry Diller told me, no, that's not so. This director is going to direct this movie. He's going to direct it to the best of his ability because his name is going to be all over it. So it's going to affect his career. he's going to therefore want to make it the best film he could possibly make it. And he did, in fact, do the film. The film was a tremendous success. He, of course, did fire his agent, who had agreed to the option on future work, but it all worked out in a way that sort of surprised me. That, to me, was one of the biggest surprises I had, and it was a nice learning experience that I've used many a time thereafter.
So can we turn to what you referenced earlier in the podcast about negotiating upward?
Ah, yes. There was a time I was doing a deal for the owner to the rights of Conan the Barbarian, and Warner Brothers wanted the rights for the Wachowski brothers, and this was right after The Matrix had come out. Wachowskis wanted to do that as their next picture, this Conan movie, and I knew it, and the whole town knew it. So I had terrific sense of leverage, and my client was more than happy to rely on me as to what I said the deal should be. Because at that point, Conan, the last film that had been made, was a complete flop. But I made one of the best literary property deals ever for rights at the time. First dollar gross, large option payment, staged with small option periods, and one picture license only. They had no rights to do sequels or remakes, which is very unusual.
And who are you representing in this?
I was representing the owner of the rights to Conan the Barbarian. We made the deal at Warner Brothers, and as I said, it was a very rich deal. But it started out where I had made a particular proposal that was rejected, and I got a counter proposal from Warner Brothers that was lower than I had gone in with. And I decided that my original proposal wasn't strong enough and that I had the leverage because I knew that Warner Brothers was not going to let this go. In my heart, I knew that. So I made a proposal back, which was not only higher than what Warner's was now offering, but higher than I had originally proposed. And the business affairs fellow at Warner Brothers was stunned. He said, "Steve, you can't do that. You came with this one offer, and now suddenly it's higher." Well, I never heard of that. I said, "Well, hold on a second. Basic contracts one, offer, rejected, counter offer. Counter proposal is a rejection of the original offer. That offer is gone. And now we have a free situation. I'm not bound by that previous offer anymore. You've thrown it away. So you either want the deal or you don't want the deal." They were then afraid to make another counter proposal because I would have gone even higher. And they closed up the deal for the higher amount of money.
Very good. Good. Now, finally, can I ask about your prognosis for the business?
I don't know. In this business, it's always, rain, or the sky is falling. The business is going to continue. It's changing a bit, but just as when talkies came out, and then when television came out, and then paid television, the streamers have definitely affected the business. The business has to adjust to it, but it will continue. And the sky is not falling. This is going to be a good business. It will continue apace. It'll take a bit of time to mature more, to be back to the stage of level of productions that were done before, to have that happen again. Mm-hmm. But I see this all as just a continuum of adjustment and maturation, and that the business will be in really good shape as we progress.
Well, that's a terrific prognosis, and gosh, what a great way to end. We thank you very much, Stephen KRAVIT, for being our guest on the Movie Business Podcast. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.